Firstly, hello everyone, and a very warm welcome to all of you. On behalf of the Fintech Convergence Council of IMEI and National Payments Council Corporation of India, I would like to thank all of you for joining the Global Fintech Fest, presented by the Department of Economics, Ministry of Finance, Reserve Bank of India, powered by Amazon Pay, and brought to you by WhatsApp and Google Pay. Wow, with that lovely introduction, without any further ado, I would like to first commence with our next session, a keynote addressal on the topic Fintech, where need meets opportunity. For the same, I would like to welcome Mr. V. Vaidyanathan, Managing Director and CEO, IDFC First Bank, along with Mr. Mohan Tanksale, Strategic Consultant, SWIFT. We welcome. And to begin with, I would first request Mr. Vaidyanathan to please address the audience on the topic. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Garima. Welcome, Mr. Tanksale. And to every one of you joining the program, very warm wishes from my side. Now, thank you very much, IAMAI, for organizing the event and for inviting us to talk on the event. Now, this subject, where need meets opportunity, is a subject that I personally bet my entire financial life and career on. Let me say many years ago, but certainly in 2010 when I left ICICI Bank. When I actually thought that I could take a stake in a non-bank finance company and convert it to a bank just by building financing of small entrepreneurs, and that was the theme that we had in 2010. Now, well, that story played out pretty well, and then our company Capital First then merged with IDFC Bank, and now we became IDFC First Bank. So the subject is very important to me, and I have been thinking about it ever since I've been invited to speak at this event for the last couple of days ago. Now, I'd like to just make a quick presentation for you and like to just share that with you and take it from here. Now, couple of days ago, I just went for a run and I tried to take a few photographs of what I saw along the way. And as you can see from the picture, and most of you living in Mumbai, this will not be any surprise sight at all. This is the access route from, say, Prabhadevi to Worli, which is, let me say, among the better parts of Mumbai in terms of infrastructure. And this is in Maharashtra, which is supposedly among the richer states. Mumbai is among the richer cities. Worli, Prabhadevi, which is among the better areas economically. And then we see this sort of a range of people, people who are living in slums, people with this gentleman runs with me on the, every twice or thrice a week, and he earns about, say, 50 or 1,000 rupees a month. You see people earning between 5 to 10 lakhs a month. You earning people between, say, maybe 20 lakhs. I don't know their income. I just took the photograph. I hope they don't mind. You can't recognize them. And then you see high rises probably earning people 1 crore rupees or so, or probably more depending on which business they are in. Now, all these sorts of profiles is right out here in front of our eyes. And this is in the city. I'm going to talk about village a little later. Now, if you see the availability of financial services, Nandan Nilekani spoke at length about providing credit services to customers at the bottom of the pyramid, which is not yet reached. But even at the as far as savings account is concerned, after a long time, maybe after 70 years or so, we reached a savings account right here at the bottom of the pyramid. But as far as generally speaking, all these services are generally available to, let me say, the top of the pyramid. They're probably a tick. They probably have a savings account, transactions accounts, credit cards, home loans, business loans, demat, insurance, mutual funds. They got it all. Typically, if you come down the chain and see, you'll probably see a no, and you might say credit has reached. But through MFI, but we all know from the numbers that the extent of penetration of credit is still very, very low. So the question is, as the fintech group which we are largely discussing about today, what role they can play. So one of the obvious roles to play is to make credit available, as in provide access. So I write access as the first item that was I wanted to write as the role which fintechs can play. And all of us know the new technologies are emerging these days. Every single day, machine learning is now making it, you don't have to say that the whole of this territory is a bad credit area. You can finally pinpoint the extent of customers you can give credit to, and you can't give them to locations you can, pin codes you can't, etc. So the level of automation and technologies and UPI platforms and paperless transactions and eKYC and e-processing and so on and so forth have made credit available, but still not yet adequately. But if you see the second big role, as apart from access of credit that will need to be reached to this set of people, is but because this thing of accessing credit is so third world thinking, because you hear this all the time. The other thing is about even among the population that access is there, supposedly this segment. I was speaking to a tuition teacher who comes home to teach my children, and I was asking her, saying that how much money do you save a month? And she said about 1 lakh. I earn about 1 lakh a month, probably save 20,000-30,000, and I have about 2 lakhs in my bank account. So I asked her, saying that, what do you do with the money? What do you do with the 2 lakhs? It's a substantial sum. And she says, nothing. It's lying in a savings account in some bank earning her 3%. So clearly, it's not just access, it is also advice. So I must point out the second big requirement is advice, because people it's hard earned money for her, and keeping 2 lakhs in the savings account, not invested anywhere. She could, not even beating the cost of inflation. So another big area that is required, and again, fintech can play, a huge role here. We will expand on this as it goes along. The third role, as we see in this whole process, is comparison. So, for example, even if you tell that, okay, why don't you go and compare various options available, India did not have, until recently, Bank Bazaar, Polybazar, etc. came. The fintechs can play a big role in being able to provide comparison, because again, even if you have the advice and you know what to purchase, how to invest, how to spend your money, or how to get yourself insured, you need to be able to go and access them and compare them. The fourth thing after that also, even if you're able to compare them, the another big need that is there still in the ecosystem is this. If you see, most banks across the country, in India certainly and all over the world, have now started providing almost all services in the mobile phone. You can open a bank account, you can get probably a statement of account, you can enable transactions, you can probably get access pre-credit report, you can probably get even a budgeting tool, you may probably have chatbots, you'll probably have language options, you probably have maybe travel notifications, you probably can report a lost card. You have all these things available, but the underlying product has not really changed. This is very important. What many banks and institutions, financial have done is that whatever was going on physically has moved to digital, has moved to mobile, has moved to internet. But the underlying product, which says that a personal loan has to be 3-year loan, and if you prepay, you got to pay us 3, 4, 5% of a prepayment charge. That's not changed. That's just moved on to the mobile platform. Or so if somebody requested for a 30-day loan and said, look, I don't want to pay a prepayment fee, no bank's able to offer it because the underlying systems have just not been designed for that in the first place. So therefore, apart from digitizing, there is a big opportunity for fintechs to completely reimagine the product suites that are being offered. For example, if you give credit cards, the standard norm in the country is, even today, and even in the US, I guess, but certainly in India for sure, is about 36% per annum, 36% APR. It's the norm. Nobody's changed that. It just moved to the digital. So if someone's coming along and creating new products and services, which fundamentally redefines that a credit card doesn't have to be this much, your travel fee doesn't have to be 3% interchange rate, it could be lesser, and so on and so forth, there is a very big game or opportunity which comes up, saying that changing the underlying products and not just bring them over to. And because of this opportunity existed, that is why the Chime, the Varo, the Bank Mobile, Sophie, Monzo, they all came alive. The fifth thing that is a big opportunity that is there is the experience. Again, this is important because experience-wise, of course, many banks, institutions, etc., have dramatically improved experiences as a result of the extent of the whole platform, etc., available in the country. But when we say experience, usually the relationship between the, let me say, bank or financial institution to the customer has been a pretty much a 1:1 relationship. But imagine that, for example, I bill you a card and you pay me for the credit card on the due date. Now there is an intermediary of fintech that can come in center and say, pay through me, and then I will pay the bank. You leave the data with me. Now I'm aggregating data, and with that aggregated data, I will provide extraordinary UI UX of this whole experience, and then I will sell other products to the customer. Now, this intermediary between the bank to the customer, someone sitting as a layer in between, and that layer after that starting to provide multiple services to the customer through that layer, these are really new things that are a completely different experience. It's not a better looking statement of account, a passbook converted to a physical passbook, and so on and so forth. So these sorts of experiences are getting developed through this. So basically, when we think of the role of fintechs, it's not only access. Access is a really big thing. And if you can see people here, which I'm showing in the pyramid here, obviously sometimes you really wonder whether this profile of people will ever really get to access credit, because they probably hardly sign. That's why hopefully this Nandan's biometric has come in a big boon to all of them. So they have identity issues, they have language issues, they have numerical counting issues. But then that's an issue. But the issue is the whole thing, which goes back to the advice, the comparison, the underlying, the experience. Therefore, fintechs have much larger role to play in this larger ecosystem. I want to just share with you a small video that I had a discussion by meeting many people at a grassroots level, and I just like to show this with you. And as the discussion progresses, I'll voice it over to you, because I put it on mute mode so as not to disturb you. But you can see here that I'm asking this group of people, what is it that they really look forward to have. Somewhere later, in the discussion, just to fast forward this, I asked some of them how, if they were to be offered a home loan, how many? You can see it here. I say, how many of you want a housing loan? Can you imagine a group of about maybe 25 people? You can see the hand going around. If I took you back, the number of people wanting the housing loan was really very high. You can see this list. Close to about 50% of people wanted a housing loan. So I asked them, how much is the rent each one of them pay? And the rent each one of them pays anywhere between maybe 3,000 to 5,000 rupees. Now I asked them, saying that, okay, paying fee of 5,000 rupees as rent. Now, can you just pay it off as a home loan so the property becomes yours? And they said, they all said we want it. Now, of course, many of them, when I asked them this question, whether you can afford the margin money, many of them had a problem paying up a margin money of 1 lakh rupees for a 5 lakh rupee home loan. So even I could not on the spot think of any solution for that problem, because we as a bank, we always think of taking a margin from the customer. Otherwise, how do you lend a home loan? And when I asked them, about 28 of them, if maybe about 20 of them wanted a home loan, and when I asked them how many of them could pay margin money, 18 hands went down, only 2 people were left on the screen. But that's one part of the question. Then, I move on from there and I ask them, saying that if I give you a business loan of say 1 lakh rupees, how many will want to take it? And you should just see this video for the rest of it. So this lady here says, I want to set up a rice shop. I move on from there. This lady says, I want to set up a kirana shop. I ask them, okay, for 1 lakh of rupees, it cost you an EMI of 3,500 rupees. Can you honor it? They say, no problem at all. We can honor it. And, this story moves on from there to ask the next person. She says, my husband wants to buy an auto. And she says, this lady says, my son is a physiotherapist and I want to buy the equipment. And actually, I'd like, if I'd probably put this video out in public domain. So you can see it's in Tamil. So only most of you who will probably understand this language will probably understand this. Then this person says, I want to buy a car. And they say, look, with car, I will just drive school children to the school, and there is enough money for me to be able to make in running a car. This lady out here says, I want to set up a tailoring shop. And again, I ask her, can you afford to pay 3,500 rupees a month for that period of time? She says, yes, I can comfortably pay if only I have it. Then this lady here says that I asked her, you already have a ration shop, why do you want 1 lakh more? And she says, look, I'll set up another, I want to buy more equipments, at bulk, and I can get a discount. I want to buy one more ration shop. This moves on from there to say, saying that me and my husband do the same work and so on. And then this lady says, my husband is a contract worker. He's a carpenter, and he wants to start his own business. So the short point I wanted to leave with you in this discussion is that just in a group of just 30 people or 25 people whom I talk to, almost everyone wants to start an enterprise. And almost every one of them is capable, feels confident. Not everyone, I can't say. Let me say about 60 or 70% of people whom I asked this question wanted a lakh of rupees for a business and felt confident, well, for odd reasons, maybe opening a shop or maybe setting up a business or whatever, but they were all confident of honoring the loan comfortably and still keeping themselves a margin. So when we look at this whole thing, it brings us back to this discussion. This is only one discussion on credit factor alone. When you think about people who are insured, I talk to many people who are in the middle class income segment, even in my families and outside my families, and most people I know are just mismanaging their money. So each of these needs, therefore, we put together become very important, and therefore the role of fintech across all these 5 things that we talked about here can be very significant. The underlying platforms that India has thus far created, I think, form a really powerful, if you permit me to just scribble a quick platform here. We can write here, the mobile is a very big one. It is everything these days. It is the video parlor. It is it is your library. It is our branch. It is our school. It's everything these days. We have the internet is a very big thing. We all know India is going to have something like 800 million internet connections by next year. The third thing is, of course, going to be the bureau, which is a very big thing that we have. The fourth thing is, of course, the UPI, which is the fifth thing is, of course, Aadhaar, which the father of this of this whole concept is right here with us right now. Then this, of course, today we heard of the UPI recurring payment, the open protocol he talked about, the BBPS, the the AA. This whole stack is coming up, which is very, very powerful. And with this stack, fintechs can use the stack. Fintechs are straight away born into this ecosystem, unlike other people who are having to transform into it. And therefore, funding is available, the opportunity is available. And if you think of the opportunity almost like a need matrix, if you think of a matrix like, low, medium, high of needs, and if you think of a, low, medium, high of, say, opportunity, if there's any such matrix available, and you will find that providing financial services through a digital medium for all those things, whether it's transaction, borrowing, savings, investments, protection, any of these things, taking it to across the pyramid. No, I don't mean only bottom. I mean across the pyramid. Is probably in the high and the high category. If you think of corporate banking, probably the need is not, it's not underserved, and I mean underserved. Corporate banking not underserved. Probably it's a opportunity is probably medium and underserving is probably low. But if you think of this, consumer banking for that pyramid, it's right on the top, and this is really gold sitting out here as an opportunity. So that's my quick commentary for everybody, and I thank you all for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Vaidyanathan sir. Full words. I would now request Tanksale sir to please take over the session for the fireside chat. Thank you.
Thanks, Gary. Let me at the outset thank the IMI and FCC for arranging a great global fintech fest. And for me, it's really exciting to be here because I've been a banker from early 70s with zero technology. And today I'm seeing that the technology is driving the banking. And that's the big change, which I've been a part of it for over 4 decades. Mr. Vaidyanathan,
Yes,
your journey in the financial sector talks about your passion for the inclusive growth, which you have exhibited to a wonderful presentation you have just done. I would like to quote Mr. Vaidyanathan in a recent concept evolution of banking. Mr. Vaidyanathan had quoted the digitization of rural India will be the defining moment of our country. So that's what is really have been exhibited by him. And I'll now request, I'd like to have some of his views on some of my questions. And I would like to know from you, Mr. Vaidyanathan, that now various banks are there, the various non-banking institutions are there. Everyone is trying to do something or another. So how do you feel that the fintechs can meet the expectations that have been set in by you to meet the credit access of the kind of people you narrated in your presentation?
See, thus far, the segment of people whom I showed you in the video, as well as what you can see in the lower end of the screen here, they have all been served physically. So as a nation, I'd say we have failed them for the last 60 or 70 years. We probably nationalized banks thinking that we will meet the financial needs of these people. We probably at best open bank accounts. We never lent them credit. And without credit, it's called leverage for the right reason. It's a lever, but they never got the lever. So, and even today, at least the group of people I showed you, of course, there is now a digitization possible in terms of collecting money from them and so on and so forth. It's somewhat better, but the big game is actually to use technology to provide not just credit but even financial solutions, advice, and other things we talked about and experience to that level of. If we can crack this pyramid, then frankly this will be the easy ones, because what I mean is that the middle income segment will be the easy one if you can crack the big one.
So excellent.
And why I feel fintechs can do it, there is one very key reason. Fintechs can do it because fintechs are born to this ecosystem. This is a very important point. Because other institutions are trying to adopt technology and change. If you see state-owned banks, or if you see maybe old private sector banks, or even the newer private sector banks, etc., they are all adapting to change. While fintechs are already born to that ecosystem, I think that's a very important point.
Great. So on the same sequence, do you feel that the industry should really look for the collaboration rather than everyone getting into innovation? Because at times I feel that it's getting crowded, and whether it is a threat or an opportunity.
It's the sorry, someone has requested me to stop sharing the presentation, so I'm going to makes your job easier. So the see, depends on what part of the chain we're talking about. Frankly, the straight short answer is, of course, it's collaboration is a very big game here. Let me just say that fintechs can actually, apart from doing business themselves, which they should do, and they should compete and they should do everything. Apart from that, they are also playing in different parts of the chain. For example, all your life, Tanksale Saab, as you would have been a state-owned banker all your career life, you're probably somebody would have given you a an application for a home loan or a car loan, education loan. Probably you evaluated the bank statement. Probably would have totaled it up and analyzed it manually. Now there is one fintech which is probably just in a jiffy scraping or doing a PDF read. And not only reading it, but is also pulling out relevant information, is analyzing it, is totaling it, is producing analysis out of it, giving you a ready-made material, and that information can go into a scorecard, and the scorecard can give a decision. So different parts of the chain in a loan journey or an account opening journey or liabilities or investments, different part of the journey are being factored by fintechs. So if you think about it, this is a tremendous value add to the main core banking system as well. And of course, when you see large institutions like WhatsApp and Google and all these people doing WhatsApp Pay and Google Pay and Paytms and mobile companies giving credit and retail companies giving credit, I would say it's welcome because it expands the market. We all know the story of under-penetration.
Great. So, Mr. Vaidyanathan, in the opening remark or keynote address, Mr. Nandan Nilekani also addressed the issue which you have very rightly identified through presentation that the segment which needs a credit doesn't have a structured information. There is so much of asymmetry of information, identity crisis, language crisis, information crisis. With all this, how do you feel that the fintech can really bridge up these things and help the lenders to lend?
It's a very big thing. We discussed earlier, as long as manual, nothing is possible. Manual has too much friction, manual is too expensive, and physical is just really, it's unviable business to do. The main thing that, uh, my apologies. So, therefore, manual is too much friction, and the information arbitrage will now go away, or at least reduce dramatically through the AA model. Because in AA model, you can scrape information from multiple sources, from multiple banks, multiple utility companies, and you can get a profile of the customer independent of income tax return. And and more the arbitrage vanishes, the customers will get maybe credit at lower prices.
I agree with you because account aggregator model is really very successful overseas. I have seen it in Australia and various European countries, and I think the fintech should take this opportunity. Having said that, I would like to ask you that while we are all talking about technology, the very first session was on a discussion where regulators' concerns are very many with regard to the technology and its implementation. And in such a situation, how do you feel that these innovations, which are very, very important, can go smoothly?
Um, it is to be very honestly and fairly said that at least in India, the regulation, at least the regulators have moved well on this front. The latest example is video KYC. The video KYC is approved, fortunately, by the RBI prior to the COVID situation. And when COVID happened and people didn't want to touch each other, didn't want to sign forms, don't want to, even invite any of our people to their societies to open accounts, the video banking process worked, and it worked very well. So I think now KYC has become practically electronic. Accounting processes have become electronic. So basically, I do think that regulators have moved, at least in India.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well, I
we
would
can
like
take a few
to
questions if you
ask you a
want.
little bigger question, Vaidyanathan. We have been in the industry for, you have been for 3 decades, I am for 4 decades. There are many misses that would have been there, and there are big opportunities. Define what are those misses which can be converted into an opportunity so that the fintech world can take it up.
Mrs., I really said right at the beginning that the fact that we kept such a large portion of our country underserved for such a long period of time has undoubtedly been a very big miss. The other thing is that how I think all of us will be reasonably honest in saying that all the mobile banking solutions that we have found thus far for statement of accounts and so on and so forth have yet not entirely reached the bottom of the pyramid. For the pictures I showed you, for that person probably bottom of the pyramid, mobile banking is still probably, still needs some understanding of English because many of the apps are in English, and by default they're in English. Now think about it: if the apps had option to convert to 12 languages by click of a button, and then you can speak to them in Marathi or Oriya or in Tamil, then that would be a very big opportunity. So I think by communicating, making English the default language, which is anyway spoken only by 12% of the population, I think we may have missed a trick there. But all of these things can now be solved through technology, because now you can make maybe small payments possible. For example, you could never pay a credit. There was also a minimum order quantity for paying a credit card. It was maybe 200 or 300 rupees. But now you can probably pay at 5 rupees. You can settle a transaction through UPI. So point is therefore that things are changing. But I think this has been a big miss that we probably stuck with vernacular. We never walked vernacular for a long time.
So I think before I move to the audience question, the last question, All the difficulties around, what keeps you inspiring to drive your passion?
Uh, I mean, see, the way India's evolved in the last 10 years actually has been a extraordinary inspiration, especially when we go overseas and then we see the way India has developed the platforms, as Mr. Nilekani so correctly pointed out earlier in his earlier speech. UPI has been an extraordinary platform. The fact that we can create it, the way that we created Aadhaar. In fact, I saw one interview of his with Goldman Sachs about how he talked about how difficult it was to even set it up. You look at these things, you feel look, our country can also do it and can go ahead of many other countries who had a head start in terms of being developed economies. But because we are starting, we're certainly starting late, but maybe we're starting at a time when technology is more evolved. So I think this is very inspirational to all of us. One thing I'm very happy about is the UPI platform finally is an open platform in India. You go to China and you see these are two people have completed two large entities have taken over the ecosystem. Now it's not a platform everybody can ping into. So I think to that extent we should be happy that things are happening
So,
later than never.
since we are overshooting the time, I'll take two questions from the audience. A very exciting question from the audience is that what changes you envisage in the ecosystem with the help of the fintechs?
There are two, three. I'll talk about changes which are going to come, which are tremendously exciting. One is, I think 5G is going to be a really big deal. As and when it stabilizes and people start accessing it, the speed will be just completely something else. The fact that internet in rural areas is only 25%. Can you think about it when internet in rural area penetration touches something like 90%? How vast parts of rural India can get penetrated and what the opportunity in that space is will be just unbelievable. Even the profile I talked about being able to provide, we provide biometric, but we haven't really taken internet so much to the bottom of the pyramid, even in urban areas. The credit to GDP being so low, mutual fund to GDP being so low, insurance to GDP being so low, everything is low in this country in a penetration sense. So, the fact that they will all exponentially change and catch up the global benchmarks, is tremendously exciting. The fact that the payment railroads have come. So I think the whole ecosystem is frankly is something that not only fintechs, everybody should look forward to.
One more question which came on payment, and I'm also a banker, very eager to understand that while the payment system has really deepened our country, I always bet between the volumes and the number of users. Now, under the Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana, or when you call a JAM Trinity, got large number of individual account holders. They are also having mobile. But whether the payment system, whether each one of them is really using the payment system of UPI, or you need any other, enhancement in the payment system, you feel?
Yeah, I mean, see, first of all, of course, UPI has been our extraordinary achievement as a country. So today we heard recurring UPI becoming another big feature that's coming up, which we should all be very happy about. The thing is that the importance of growing the acceptance network, particularly through the QR code method, is going to be very important for the country. It's not just the UPI, because UPI is of course great, but for example, Bharat QR pretty much in a costless way you can now take it to the rural areas. The key thing I am looking forward to is how we can enable micro transactions in a contextual way with high quality of experience. Micro transactions. It's because that's where the big game is, and I think in terms of bringing people into financial inclusion, I don't mean financial inclusion of bank accounts. Of course, it is there, but through every other means we talked about in terms of insurance, mutual fund, this, that, advisory. You think of wealth management. We provide wealth management as a country to all the rich people and so on and so forth. But for a poor person, even a scooter is wealth. For a poor person, even 50,000 rupees is wealth. But we don't see, from our eyes, of our income level, we don't see it as wealth, but from their point of view, it's wealth. So we have not provided wealth management to poor at all. So basically, to be able to take it there will be one of our big achievements as a country.
Excellent. I think you have met with the expectation of the subject. where need meets opportunity. And I'm very sure the audience will take the best out of it. Thank you, Mr. Vaidyanathan. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks, both of you.
Thank you, Mr. Vaidyanathan, and thank you, Mr. Tanksale. This was indeed a very, very insightful session, and I think each one of us is going to be taking back a lot of key learnings from both of you. I would also like to take this opportunity to thank our valued partners, IDFC First Bank and NPCI. I would like to thank our audience for all the and the amazing response that we got on the session, sir. I would also request all of you to please go through the exhibition space because we have over 70 exhibitors in the space and some really exciting prizes lined up for you there. And obviously the other ongoing sessions at Global FinTech Fest. Stay tuned. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, Vaidyanathan, sir. Thank you, Tanksale, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.